Morning, guys. Welcome to another edition of Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host, Jamie Carter, and we're just going to run through the weekend's action from the 5th of August through to the 7th of August. Um, Obviously, on Friday night, Crystal Palace was taking on Arsenal. Arsenal had a really good start to the season. Um, Palace didn't really show much. Arsenal had great possession. They were passing the ball around lots, maintaining it, creating good chances. They got a goal on the 20th minute. The first goal of the season this season came through Gabriel Martinelli, on the 20th minute. Arsenal then were 1-0 up at half time at a packed out Selhurst Park. But then in the second half, Crystal Palace came out more. They tried to get an equaliser, but in all honesty, Arsenal seemed in control most of the game. 5 minutes towards the end, an own goal by Gehu. I can't even say his name properly, but another Paul Mercer moment. But anyway, yeah, he basically there was an own goal by one of the Crystal Palace defenders. Arsenal ended up winning that game 2-0. So obviously Arsenal are top of the league. Their fans were chanting, "We are top of the league." It might be the only time that they're top of the league this season, but we'll see what happens anyway. But going into Saturday's games, newly promoted Bournemouth were up against Aston Villa. Now I predicted 2-1 Aston Villa. I got this extremely wrong. AFC Bournemouth played a great game. They've not even brought in many different players this season, and in the squad, it was mainly players that they had from the previous season of the Championship. But they pulled off a little bit of a shock. The 1-2-0 goals from Lerma on the second minute and Kiefer Moore on the last minute of the game meant that Bournemouth won the game 2-0. So a great start for Bournemouth and their fans on their first time back in the Premier League for 3 seasons. And then it was in the evening kickoff. Everton were playing Chelsea. Everton had a few chances, but Chelsea ultimately came out 1-0 winners. A penalty from Jorginho on the 45th minute meant that Chelsea went home with all 3 points in that game. And then the earliest kickoff on the Saturday, which was the lunchtime kickoff at 12:30, saw newly promoted Fulham taking on Liverpool. Now Mitrovic has been getting a lot of stick, the Fulham striker, for being able to score goals in the Championship, but not quite being able to perform when he gets in the Premier League. And he proved all the doubters wrong with a 32nd minute header to shock Liverpool. And Fulham went in at half time 1-0 up. In what was a massive shock. Probably the biggest shock of the weekend, to be fair. And then excuse me. Well, actually, maybe not, because there's something coming up on the Sunday games that I'll tell you about in a minute. But Mitrovic took them in the lead. Great cross by Tete, headed it in from about 6 yards out. He climbed, he just leaped like a salmon, as they say, above Alexander Arnold. Put a beautiful header across. The goalkeeper had no chance. Bullet header. Anyway, then Nunes equalised, the new signing for Liverpool, Darwin Nunes, to make it 1-1 in the second half in the 64th minute. Liverpool had some chances, rode the luck a little bit. Fulham had more chances, to be fair. But eventually, Mitrovic, he danced his way into the penalty area and he got clipped by Van Dijk, surprisingly. And a penalty was awarded on the 72nd minute, which he tucked away perfectly to put Fulham 2-1 up. Now, Fulham were looking really, really good value for that 2-1 lead. But then, as usual, that happens with all the big teams, Mohamed Salah got an equaliser on the 80th minute. Great ball whipped in. It was missed by Nunes. Nunes sort of made contact with it, hit off Nunes, but fell nicely into the path of Salah, who basically just had a tap in to make it 2-2. That's how the game finished, 2-2. So a bit of a slow start from Liverpool. Obviously, Klopp wasn't happy, the Liverpool manager. He was a little bit outraged that they had a really poor start to the game. Well, basically a very poor whole game, to be fair. But yeah, so they had 2-2 there. And then we go into another game between two teams that potentially were tipped for relegation at the start of it, or being close to relegation at the start of the season. Leeds United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. But Wolves took an early lead on the 6th minute through Podence. Then Rodrigo equalised on the 24th minute. And then there was an own goal by out Nuri on the 74th minute, which allowed Leeds to win the game 2-1. Packed house there, as usual, 35,000. Or was it 38? I think it's 38,000 even, 38,000. And then Newcastle are up against my beloved Forest. Forest, uh, at times, looked at 6 and 7s. They looked like a team that was still trying to gel together after having a massive overhaul of players from last season. And it proved the case. Both the goals for Newcastle and the 2-0 win that they had against Forest came in the second half. A bit of messing about by Forest just outside the penalty area. The ball fell nicely to Shah, who smashed it in from 25 yards, an absolute perler. And then with Wilson, he just did the defender and smashed the ball past Henderson and the Forest goalkeeper on the 78th minute. So Newcastle won 2-0. I had to concede defeat to my brother graciously through WhatsApp. Bit gutted. Next week, Forest are playing, or should I say this Saturday, Forest are playing my dad's team, West Ham. So I just hope it's not a double. I don't think I can take the bragging from my family, from different members of my family. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so they lost 2-0 on their first game back into the Premier League after 23 years. Tottenham went behind against Southampton at home through James Ward-Prowse on the 12th minute. But then they showed their dominance, getting 2 more goals before half-time through Ryan Sessegnon, the left-back, and Dyer from a stooping header. In the second half, we saw some absolute madness. A ball was crossed in by Son, I believe, and Salisu, the Southampton defender, he could have easily cleared it, but ended up putting it in his own net. It was a crazy own goal, to be fair. And then Kulusevski was played in beautifully inside the area, and he picked his place and curled in an absolute beauty from just inside the box to the left-hand side of the goalkeeper. So, well, the goalkeeper's right-hand side, should I say, but the left-hand side for him. So, yeah, it was a good game. Tottenham won that one 4-1. On the Sunday games, there was actually probably, it's debatable whether this was the biggest shock. I would say Fulham was more of a shock than Liverpool, with Fulham drawing 2-2 at home to Liverpool. But Brighton did something that they'd never done in their history before, went to Old Trafford and they won 2-1. 2 goals from Pascal Gross on the Sunday. There was a goal back from United from a corner, but it was a very, very scrappy affair. The ball ended up in the back of the net through McAllister, the Brighton player, so it was an own goal. United brought on Ronaldo, but it was just way too late in the game. And Ronaldo, he didn't seem like he wanted to be there. Like, there's been the saga all summer saying he doesn't want to really be around because obviously Man United are not the team that they used to be. So yeah, Man United lost shockingly to Brighton 2-1. Although some people wouldn't be been shocked with it with the current form of Manchester United towards the end of last season, and obviously how well Brighton did last season, finishing 9th. So I think Brighton will have another really good season. I think they're going to end up perhaps in the top half, even though I think I predicted them to finish 13th. But we'll see what happens anyway. That'll be interesting. There was 2 more games on the Sunday in the Prem. Leicester City was playing Brentford at the same time as the Man United game at 2 o'clock. Leicester raced into a 2-0 lead. There was 2 goals in that game that put Leicester up. Dewsbury Hall scored one of them, so they were 2-0 up. But in the second half, Ivan Toney equalised got a goal back on the 62nd minute, and then a goal from Josh Da Silva on the 84th minute or 82nd minute meant that Brentford completed the fight back. The game ended Leicester 2, Brentford 2. So, yeah, some interesting games there. And then there was the 4:30 kickoff on the Sunday on Sky, which was between West Ham and Manchester City. Manchester City obviously had some new signings on show. Most notably, though, that played in the middle of the park was Erling Haaland, having come from Borussia Dortmund. A lot of talk about him. 2 crucial moments in the game that helped Manchester City to win the game 2-0. Both came from Haaland. One was a penalty that he managed to get himself. Using a bit of trickery, he got tripped. With his lightning pace that he's got, he put Man City 1-0 up, then he put them 2-0 up with a goal in the second half. Manchester City were just controlling the whole game, to be fair. Anyway, looking at that, Manchester City win 2-0, but top of the table is obviously Tottenham, unfortunately for West Ham fans to see locally. So Tottenham are definitely at the top at the moment, but we'll see what happens as the season goes by. It's sure to change, that's for sure. We're going to go into the Championship now. There's been a ton of games. There was a ton of games in the Championship over the weekend. Bristol City were playing at home to Sunderland. There was a goal by Andres Weimann, who equalised after Ellis Sims, a new guy that came in on loan from Everton. So Sims scored 2 goals, Stewart scored 1, Weimann and Martin scored for Bristol City, but Sunderland ended up winning the game 3-2. Then Burnley was playing Luton on their first game back in the Championship at home, and Burnley beat Luton drew 1-1 with Luton. Norwich City then was playing Wigan, and they drew 1-1 with Wigan. But so both of these, the newly relegated teams are finding it quite tough in the Championship this season. Norwich have only got a point so far out of the first 2 games. Burnley have got 4 points, so they're doing a bit better, but they struggled a bit against Luton at home. Preston drew 0-0 with Hull. Queen's Park Rangers had a fantastic game against Middlesbrough, where they were 3-0 up after 38 minutes. Goals from Willock, Dunn and Dykes put them 3-0 up, and then goals from Crooks and Force started a fight back for Middlesbrough, but QPR ended up winning 3-2. Reading beat Cardiff City 2-1. Sheffield United beat Millwall 2-0. Stoke City beat Blackpool 2-0. Swansea City got absolutely smashed by Blackburn Rovers at home 3-0. Goals from Smodic, Brereton and Travis allowed them to win 3-0. On the Friday night game, Birmingham beat Huddersfield 2-1. I did Birmingham to win 2-0, so I wasn't that far off, I thought. So yeah, Birmingham had a great start season. Birmingham were one of my favourites to get relegated at the start of the season, like a lot of pundits. But Birmingham looked like they could possibly have a really good season because they've had not a bad start to it. Blackburn have had a really good start. Blackburn are top of the Championship, and Sunderland, who are newly promoted, are in line in second. So Coventry were meant to play Rotherham yesterday on the Sunday, but it was called off because the pitch was deemed too dangerous. So basically, that's the top of the table. Blackburn are top in the Championship, Sunderland are second. Now I'm going to do another video concentrating on League One and League Two, and I will talk more about, and I'll probably do a bit from the National League as well. And then we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the first weekend of the Premier League action. Thank you for your support. Keep liking and subscribing. We're getting a really good following now. And whoever your team is this week, I hope they have a good week. And I will also be doing another video I'll be doing another 2 videos today. In my other video, my third video, it will be predictions for the EFL Cup in the midweek, and obviously doing predictions for the coming weekend's fixtures in the Premier League, Championship, League 1 and 2. I've been your host, Jamie Carter. Have a great week. All the best. Bye.